And welcome back to Steeler Thoughts and Chief Feelings, episode 34, the Richard Mendenhall episode. Uh, I am your co-host, Chris. I'm the Steelers fan. I almost, for some reason, said former Steelers fan. No, I'm the Steelers fan. I'm still current.
Wow.
I'm the Steelers fan and a philosophy professor in the group. Uh,
And I'm Ajay Nair. I'm the Chiefs fan and psychiatrist in the group. Thanks to all of you who follow along here on the YouTube channel, or those of you that download the podcast wherever it is you download podcasts, and to those of you who follow along on social media at STCF715 on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. This week's comment of the week comes from the YouTube channel again. I had posted a short that was a clip of Patrick Mahomes' reaction when Carson Wentz hung onto the ball for a while and got sacked. And it kind of looks like it looks to me, I still think he was probably saying throw it away. He could have been saying no way, but he like you can see his tongue kind of go to the front of his mouth like a TH sound.
yeah,
But you don't hear like three, you don't see three words. It looks like throw away or throw away, But I just had,
yeah.
not being a professional lip reader, I feel like that's probably close enough. And he might have been saying throw it away, and I'm just not able to. Uh, but he could have been saying no way. And some people in the
It,
comments
it
thought so.
it is a hard thing. Like when I say you don't really see much happening there, right?
Right.
There's no plosives or anything, so my lips don't have to do much. So maybe that, yeah, it just got lost in the.
The one thing I will say is that it seems really unlikely that the first syllable is an N sound, the way he puts his tongue toward the front of his mouth.
Hmm, yeah,
Like people don't say no way, Like so. I don't know. Anyway, that's not what the comment had to do with. So the short, basically, I posted like, was Patrick Mahomes telling Carson Wentz to throw it away? And at Super Heavy Booster replied, Mahomes was telling him to cheat. So that's our comment of the week.
okay. That's we like all levels of engagement, right? That's a good one too. Um, yeah. Uh,
All right. So
sorry, I'm
actually,
still getting. Go ahead. Sorry,
I was gonna transition us.
I'm
Our
just still getting over my like temptation to say, which I don't think it was a temptation, but I like to say I'm a former Steelers fan. No, as far as I can tell, I'm still an active Steelers fan. But is
I
this something
wonder
one can be uncertain about? I don't know.
was that more a feeling of like the state of your fandom, or maybe to you this has already become like a former season, like
Maybe that's right. I was glancing at the text I have open on my screen here and wondering if there was the word former somewhere in there, and maybe I just like saw that one, but I don't see it. So I don't know. Maybe it was like a Freudian slip, and I'm discovering something here about myself. But hopefully not. um,
maybe a
I'll
former
time will
Russell
tell.
Wilson fan.
Yeah, yeah, that's probably true.
Um, so I wanted to start out on this by playing a clip from an episode that we had a few episodes ago. This was episode 31, Wednesday, December 11th. We'll play that clip and then I'll get your reaction. The Bills and the Steelers might be a contender for the one seed as well.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to think that we are, but we do have uh, 3 games in 10 days against the Eagles, the Ravens, and the Chiefs. And 2 of them are away. It's just, I mean, how are you getting out of that without at least one loss? I'm sure and like, it's probably 2 or 3 to be honest. But uh, yeah, for now, I'll pretend 10-3 might be the high point of our record this year, and I'll just imagine what can happen from here and remember those feelings when we go like 10-7.
So, what are your thoughts about that clip?
Yeah, well, I guess I'll take you know, uh, the good prediction, as it were, from that as a compliment to myself. But yeah, I mean, we did go 10-7. We, we did a nice about face in the last 4 games of the season here, and you know, it is fun to think back to those thoughts that we had 4 weeks or 4 games ago at 10-3 when we thought, yeah, maybe we're like we could be the 1 seed and a really dangerous team here. Um, they were fun while they lasted, very briefly. So I guess my thought is this is like, in some sense, that's what you want out of a season, right? You want those feelings. You would like them to last longer. But at least we got them a bit, right? So, so we should be happy uh, with something here. We should not be happy with everything, but
That actually, if I can interject, that reminds me of this is a an indication of how bad things were as a Chiefs fan. But when I was younger, I used to always be like, I'll be happy if we win at least 7 games. Because if we win 7 games, that means there were enough moments in the season where I was happy that it's like worth the season. But if we win fewer than 7, it's kind of rough. So I understand that sentiment. Like you want to at
yeah,
least feel good at some point.
like why are you a fan in the first place? You're a fan because it like there are exciting moments and they're exciting, like it's fun for you, presumably. It's something personal, right? And we had some of those. We had the fun for you moments for a bit. They will probably not last long. I mean, they've already kind of gone away. I mean, the season's not over, but it might be close to being over. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think it's like the "we'll always have Paris" sentiment, right? From Casablanca, right? It's like we'll always
Yeah.
have those 10-3 feelings, even though they're not active or something. They're not current feelings. Um, yeah. So we did definitely, yeah, we had a rough end to this season. I mean, rough end to the regular season. Um, and it is, I don't know, do you want to look ahead to the playoffs yet, or you just want to like reflect on how this has gone? Maybe we should think about
Well,
just
I
how it's
am
gone so
curious
far.
specifically how differently would you have felt if that 2 minute drive went okay and the Steelers kicked a field goal to win 2019 against the Bengals?
Yeah, I think maybe maybe fairly differently. But like going into, I mean, going into that drive, I had no confidence we would get anywhere. Like that offense was doing nothing. I think the offense has no confidence in the offense. Uh, and so the difference would have been that coming out of that with if they had managed to do something there, then maybe they do have some confidence in themselves now, or maybe they have some reason to believe in themselves, and that can inform or influence their play going forward. But that would be the reason to feel differently coming out of that, I think. But not anything tied to like I mean, the overall performance of the offense was just terrible, right? And to have like a one drive that succeeded at the end of the game. I mean, they had a couple moderately successful drives, but it was not a good game. Uh, yeah, to have that be to make, you know, it's not like that's going to change your opinion of the offense. The best it can do is sort of give you hope that the offense has some confidence in itself, which might make them play differently later. But we don't have that. They didn't complete the 2 minute drive. It was a terrible 2 minute drive. Uh, Not the worst conceivable, but pretty bad.
It was, I just, well, many thoughts. But to start, well, let me bring up some of the stuff because I looked into some of the stuff from the film, just curious about why the Steelers looked so different from how they played the Bengals last time.
Mm.
So I'm going to start by telling you that there were 25 times that the Steelers had a first down in this game where they came up and ran a play on 1st and 10. How many do you think they did before they threw the ball on a first down play? Just having watched the game, how many first downs do you think they had consecutively before they threw the ball on a first down play?
um, a lot. Maybe like 10.
It was
Is that
nine.
too much?
They
9.
had
Okay.
nine
Yeah.
straight runs on first down before they threw the ball. And then they threw the ball because there were 110 to go in the first half and they were running a 2 minute drill. So now of those 25, I'm going to take out, there were basically, uh, there are 12 first downs that were not due to like game script because three of them, those 2 minute drive, that 2 minute drive at the end of the first half. And then once you went down 19-7, I'm kind of ignoring whether you threw or ran on first down because the game script kind of dictates that you have to throw the ball
Yeah.
more. So I consider there to be 12 first down plays where there was a neutral game script. How many of those do you think the Steelers ran the ball on?
Uh, 11.
The answer is 12.
Okay.
They ran the ball every single time they had a first down with a neutral
Yeah.
game script.
That
And so
is
then
not surprising. Well, I mean, given the way it went, yeah.
I was like, well, what did they do in week 13? Because like is this what the Steelers just have been doing against the Bengals? So there were 32 first down plays in week 13. The first 3 times they passed the ball. And they actually ran the ball a lot in the fourth quarter because they were up 2 possessions with the ball a lot in the fourth quarter. So I removed those. So there were 26, in my opinion, neutral script first downs. 16 of them were passes in that game. Whereas it was
Yeah.
12 of 12 were runs in this game. I don't know if was it weather related? Was it why was there such a big change? And so then I didn't, to be honest, I didn't like go back to the film of week 13 that much. But this week's film, I wanted to be like, okay, were they dropping off? Were there few? No, there you were running against 7 man boxes, 8 man boxes, two tight ends coming in like obvious run. I don't know. It wasn't like the defense was dictating that you should run. So I don't really know why, but they were putting it in positions where you were having second and long, third and long, a lot of times just because anytime there was a neutral game situation, you're running the ball.
Yeah. It seemed like the game plan was let's try to dictate this with the running game, like dictate the pace of the game with the running game, and we failed incredibly badly at doing that. It seemed like we wanted to make it like a time of possession game where we have, we dominate with the running. And like in the last couple of years, toward the end of the season, we have been able to, I mean, not necessarily do that, but run successfully and sort of control the tempo of a game with our running game. And that's just because the line has improved over the course of the season the last couple of years, and that has not happened this year, at least in the run at all. Really, the line has not improved in the running or passing game, as far as I'm concerned. Maybe they've gotten worse, but yeah, I think. I mean, back when we were talking, what was it about the Eagles game? I thought the sort of right thing for us to do would be to rely on Wilson throwing it to set up the running game, and we tried to do that in the Ravens game, I think, and he made those two crucial errors that lost the game for us. And so maybe we've, and then the Chiefs game is just like that wasn't good. I don't know if that fits into this narrative that well, but it seems like we've sort of done an about face and now thought, oh, we'll just run it all the time, and that's not working. That's definitely not working. So yeah, I don't think it's going to. I think the line is not in a position where they're going to be able to dominate with a running attack. They're just they're too young in key positions and whatnot. So they need some time to work it out. And maybe eventually they'll get there, like in a year or two. But um, I don't think but I don't envy like Arthur Smith and Mike Tomlin right now having to figure out how to attack teams, given that the passing game, like we dropped, I don't know how many passes in this game. Uh, I don't really blame them for thinking maybe we should run it, given how bad our passing game looked. Uh, but Man, I don't know. I think you need to do something differently. You need to give whatever it is, even if it's not like strategically informed, you just need to do something differently so that players have confidence that they can actually, or at least some hope that they can actually succeed. Because if you come in doing the same thing you've been doing for 4 weeks or 4 games and losing miserably, it's not going to work. So, and
My
maybe that was behind the decision to run it more in the first place. I mean, I don't know, but
My only thing with the passing game was just that it most of the throws in that game were very high leverage situations. Like it would have been nice to give the pass catchers like some like easier, not
Hmm.
when you're throwing on third down and when you're down by multiple scores, like those become really high leverage situations. Like you want some situations where there isn't so much pressure on each throw to kind of get into a rhythm. And
Yeah.
honestly, the thing that irritates me is like I feel like it took me coming around on Russell Wilson for him to start being what I was worried he was going to be at the beginning of the year,
Yeah.
which is like annoys me so much because I was like, I don't think that he's going to be this guy. Like, I don't think he's going to give enough plus. And I feel like he's the way he's played, especially in the Ravens game and this Bengals game, is exactly what I thought he was going to do all year, and he just sucked me in first before he started doing that.
Yeah, no, that's. I think this is exactly who the what the worry was about him. Like that this is the quarterback that he is, not the good one, the efficient one that we saw earlier in the season. And I think that's why it's really hard to know at this point whether we should bring him back next year. It's been a kind of like Jekyll and Hyde situation for us. And then I don't know how much of that to blame on him versus, I mean, certainly the Ravens game, some of those decisions were, or throws were just, those are on him. Uh, but like in this one, the play calling, you're like all those passes or almost all those passes being in high leverage situations, you're not giving him much chance to get into a rhythm. So
That's true.
hard
I
to
think the
know.
thing that like I blame him for is that 2 minute drill that when he decided to scramble and take like 20 seconds off the clock or something insane like to get 4 yards. So like I couldn't believe well that and I mean this is a little less egregious, but if I'm Tomlin, when he does something that stupid, I'm burning the last time out. Like I want that time. Like we'll find a way to clock the ball or something. Like we can't at least give yourself a chance to have opportunity. And I know it ended up being like a fourth down anyway. So, but I feel like you put yourself in such high pressure. I don't think I believe, if I remember correctly, that that snap started with like 42 seconds or something, and the next one was with like 17 seconds. Or you just can't waste that much time for 4 yards. That was insane.
Yeah. And he had a while to think about it before he decided to run it, right? Like he was sort
Hmm.
of out of the pocket, like everyone is thinking, throw it, throw it, throw it, and he just runs it for. There's nowhere to run it even. Like what do you? I don't know. That was a very, very regrettable decision. But yeah,
And
and I guess that's the Russell Wilson decision making that you worry about, right?
yeah,
I
it's a,
guess
why
that's really
is
up to
this happening at this? It's kind of like what you started feeling from Carson Wentz in his last couple years as a starter. It's like you've done this for too long to be making these kinds of errors you're making. Like what?
you.
And the other thing I'll say is I haven't put up the film review yet from this game, but I've seen the film of that like out and up play that Troy Aikman reviewed, like that third down. That
Mm.
was on Wilson. Like
Oh yeah,
Pickens won. He was inside of the defender. If that ball is just put in the direction he's running, like he might have scored a touchdown. Like that was there. There was cover three. He beat his guy, and Wilson put it so far over to the sideline, which he does a lot. Like that's kind of how he throws those moonshots. But Pickens had inside leverage, and the safe. It's not like the safety was like so far over that you had to worry about him. Like he just put it in a spot where Pickens just was not able to go get it. Like
yeah,
that was too bad. I feel like if he just throws it up a little bit inside, like that, he scores.
yeah. I was wondering why he threw it where he threw it, and maybe it was
I'm
partly just out of
still
habit for
wondering.
throwing. Maybe it was partly out of habit, or maybe he was thinking like you need to get to the sideline to get out of bounds. But regardless, I think yeah, that's you know put it where he can catch it at least. Like don't throw. Yeah, I don't know. Um, Pickett's had a terrible game, but that I guess that one probably you can't put on him. Yeah.
Yeah, that one. I mean, I honestly don't know why the corner let him run by him, but the corner was clearly defending the sideline, which is why that throw to the sideline wasn't possible. Pickens just had to run his route so far inside. But the safety was like actually still in the middle of the field. Like he would I don't think that safety could have come and made a play on the ball. I mean, I'm positive actually that if he had just put it where he should have put it. Um, and I don't know if you want to transition to Pickens. I think because one of his drops was just like a flat out like that's a terrible drop, and then two of them were plays where like the defender got a hand on it through the catch
Yeah,
process. I personally, and maybe this is a little bit, uh, not charitable to Pickens, but I personally feel like Pickens has a bad habit of when he catches the ball, he keeps it out instead of bringing it into his body. And it just makes it, I don't know, these are bang bang plays. Like, it's still a really good play by the defender, but when you catch it, like, if you leave it out like that, the defender has a much better chance to rake it in. He doesn't seem to have any effort to bring it back into his body, which I think contributes to these drops.
yeah. It's easier to hit when it's out there like that, and he also has this habit of like holding it with one hand away from his body, which sooner or later will cost us or him if he's not on our team anymore. Um, yeah, I think, and that show. I mean, teams have finally figured out that you just have to punch the ball after he catches it because he doesn't do this, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's why maybe that's why Wilson threw it to the sideline because he's like, if he's in bounds with this ball, he's going to get it punched out. So throw him out of bounds. Um, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, he had like 6 or 7 targets and one catch for 0 yards. I think
Yeah, I think it was.
nightmare of a game.
And then, of course, to like put the cherry on top, Fryermuth dropped the last pass, which
Yeah,
I think they might have been able to get up and clock it actually, but I don't think Boswell could have made that field goal. That would have been like a 62 yarder or something.
that would be a. I mean, yeah. What situation are we like? How does that go? So Frymouth would catch it. If I were the bang, like if you had time to think this through, what would happen, right? So
You let him
he
keep running.
catches it around like the yeah, like let him keep going if you're the Bengals, right? Like
Yeah,
don't let him keep going too far, but let him go farther than he needs to get down for a field goal and then tackle him, right? Let him
yeah,
run to like the 20 or something.
yeah,
Right? I mean, he had some space to keep going, so I don't know how far he would have made it, but if you were thinking about it as the Bengals at that point, yeah, you let him keep going.
yeah.
Um,
Like as long as they're fewer than like 9, 8 seconds, like those linemen aren't getting up there and getting
yeah,
set. Like there's no
yeah.
way.
Yeah, I it wasn't. Yeah, maybe they could have clocked it if he had gotten tackled and touchdown. Depends on exactly where, but again, yeah, that's going to be a tough field goal, and to make it a makeable field goal, I don't think we'd have time to get there. So it's a strange play call in the first place, but that was not even the worst thing about that drive. That just I think the worst thing was that decision to scramble for 4 yards.
Yeah, that was really brutal. And
um,
I
yeah,
just think that because the defense, what's going to be lost in this game is the defense actually played very well. Like
yeah,
on rewatch, like they played really. There were so many times when the Bengals could have put this game away, and the defense just kept coming up with plays over and over again.
yeah.
Like I feel like
Yeah.
if
Go
they had made that play, like if they had managed to kick a field goal, that Keanu Benton sack would have been like in Steelers lore. Like that was a
ahead.
great play.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think the defense really. We were texting during the game, and I said like, they really showed up. I mean, we lost time of possession. Like it was like 38 to 22 minutes. Like the defense was on the field for a long time yet again, and yet we held the Bengals to 300-ish yards, maybe a little bit more. 2 turnovers to 19 points. Like you have to be happy with that against the Bengals, and yet the offense was just so bad. I don't know. They've really fallen off here. I don't know where to pin the blame really, but uh, someone's got to change. What do you what? Well, so do you want to keep? Should we keep talking about this game, or should we go to what has to change, or what do you think?
We can, why don't we, since we have a little bit of time before the break, we can do like a rapid Chiefs Broncos recap because I don't have
Oh
a
yeah, we
ton to
should do.
say about it.
Yeah,
And then we
yeah.
can get into the playoffs.
So can I just getting into this this game? What what are your feelings about it? Like, did you watch the whole thing? Like, was by the fourth quarter where you're like, you know what, I have better things? Like, what were you thinking about
No, I was still watching it, but CBS cut to the Raiders Chargers game after a while.
it?
I think it was after we went down 31 nothing. They were like, "Oh, okay." So
Yeah,
uh, I didn't get to see the end of it. Um,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I was going into it. I thought it was going to be competitive because the Chiefs generally. I mean, we had a situation like this a couple years ago where the Chargers kind of beat the brakes off us at home in a similar situation where we're playing backups. But we beat the Chargers even though they didn't have Herbert last year. And we've beaten the Broncos with the backups before, but that was Patrick Mahomes was the backup. So, we've done things like this before and been competitive. And the one thing is that's different this year, I think, is that this was a playoff team that we're playing.
Mhm.
So it's a potential team we could see again versus a lot of times it's like a team that's like 5-11 or something. I mean, the Broncos really needed to win. Like I expected them to win. I thought we would make it close. Clearly, they were very motivated, and I think the thing was like we actually rested people. Like there, we had our starting line for like 3 plays, and then they were gone. We
Yeah.
Hopkins didn't see the field at all. Worthy saw like one snap. Brown didn't see the field at all. Like Juju saw a few snaps. Like we weren't playing anybody. I think there was not really much like negative to be taken from this. And it didn't look like, and I haven't done like a full film review that'll come out a little later, but it didn't look like we called anything exotic play wise either. It was like very, very vanilla, very basic.
Mhm.
This, you know what? I heard someone say this, a couple people said this online, and I can't remember. I think it was one of them was retweeted by Seth Kaiser from Kansas City Sports Network, but it was like, this is what it would look like if a motivated team played against a version of a team that was playing like its second preseason game with its backups. Like this was a preseason game plan with all backup players.
Yeah.
So like,
That's
I
what.
don't really know
So
much that we can.
that's a helpful diagnosis of it because, like, watching the highlights, and you have to think the Broncos probably knew that's what they were getting coming into it, right? They knew that the Chiefs were not going to show much or anything really, and they were playing backups, and so this is going to be a vanilla defense and vanilla offense that they could game plan for a lot probably, and so that explains a lot of the well the score for example. But I think it also explains why Bo Nix looked so good in this game. Like he did look very good, I have to say,
Oh
but
yeah.
like looking good against the defense that like when you know exactly what the defense is doing because they are not disguising anything and you have multiple layers to your disguises and whatnot. So I mean, I don't think it's hard to look good in that setting. But 26 for 29 for 300 some and 4 touchdowns is good. But I think don't. I mean, don't get too excited.
Yeah. Well, the perfect don't get too excited play too was like, so not only was it like we were running vanilla. Like we weren't doing anything to prevent him from scrambling. Like when he got out of the pocket, like he would run for like felt like 30 or 40 yards, like
Yeah,
unencumbered. Like,
there's
and
one
he
with
had
the
that
lateral
one.
at the end. That was cool.
Yeah, that was my favorite example of like, don't get too excited. Like he's like really feeling himself, and he pitches it to the
Yeah.
running back, and it's like clearly a forward lateral. Like I laughed so hard when he did that. Like that was a great
It's
moment.
like this is like one team being like super juiced and the other being like we do not care, right? Like uh yeah,
And I
that's
think one thing that the national media has to remember, like, yes, the Chiefs wanted the players they were playing to play well, and the players that were playing wanted to play well, but it's not like they were, they were running the Chiefs believe that they should be able to run a basic cover two shell and stop a team, and they're going to ask their backups to do that too. It's not like they weren't trying, but like they're also not like the Broncos knew what was coming. They knew they had worse players to play against, and they were. Was Sean Payton was like dialing it up, like he wanted to make sure he won that game, and there's some teams you can tell, right? Like Dan Campbell is like this. I think Sean Payton's like this. They have this mentality of like wanting to create momentum with a win, like wanting to build confidence. Like Andy Reid just does not seem to be that kind of guy. Like he's just like, I just want to win. I don't care. I'm going to do enough to win and to make sure I win, and I don't care beyond that. And so
I mean, he has the advantage of having a team that has won multiple Super Bowls
it's
recently
true.
and doesn't really need to build confidence, probably, or someone like in Peyton's situation probably could use the confidence boost for his team and Knicks in particular. But um,
And I don't
I
see
do.
much of a
You go.
downside to doing it from Peyton's perspective, you know? Like, why not?
Mhm.
It's you're
Yeah.
gonna go in heavy underdogs into Buffalo anyway. It's not like you're like losing an advantage by emptying the bag against the Chiefs, you know? So like I feel like
Yeah.
it's good. Like and for them too, like psychologically, they lose to the Chiefs so much. It's probably good for them to see themselves like beating the crap out of the Chiefs, you know? At the very least, you want to believe you can do it.
Yeah. It gives the home fans something to be excited about in the last home game they'll have for the season. So, uh, um, if they played again this week, suppose they had that game last week, and then the Chiefs and Broncos were to play again this week, but in the playoffs, like for all the marbles, uh, what would you say? What would you predict the score would be?
Um maybe like 27-17, uh,
Okay.
something like that. I think the
Yeah.
Broncos are a good team. I don't think they're like a challenger for the Super Bowl, but I think they're good. They're competent. They'll play well, but I wouldn't be like I would say like, well, we didn't really play them last week, but I'm always a little worried about that whole third time playing a team, especially if you've
Hmm.
beaten them twice. Like, I would not be thrilled if we play the Chargers in the divisional round. Like,
Yeah.
we've beaten them twice, and they were both like fairly sloppy games. Like, you know, it's not, I'm not scared of them, but like, could I see them beating us? Yeah, I mean, I could see anyone beating us, but I don't think they would be my favorite team to be playing in the divisional round of the options.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair. The three times in a season is not not easy. Yeah, I think we beat the Ravens three times in one season. I remember maybe that was 2010 or something. I mean, that's so long ago. But, like all my good like playoff memories are so long ago. um, but at least I have them. Always at Paris. Um, all right, should we take a break then? Because I have to take a break
Yeah.
now and come back and look ahead a bit.
Yeah, let's do it.
And
And
we're
we're
back.
back. Oh,
Ooh. Um, well, anything more you want to bring up about the Broncos Chiefs game, or should we look ahead here?
well, I want to address the narrative that the Chiefs were trying to like duck the
Oh yeah.
Bengals, um, which I think is a fairly not just fair. It's like like I think there's a 0% chance, honestly, that. And then there are many angles to think about this, but I think the simplest and hopefully like most universal one that would make sense to people was I think the guy with the Twitter handle, he's like a content creator for Chiefs stuff. He goes by like how about those Chiefs? I think his Twitter handle might be HBT Chiefs. The way that he put it was I thought the best. It was like, do you think that the Chiefs would have done something differently if the Steelers had beaten the Bengals on Saturday? It's like if the Steelers had come down to that 2 minute drive, kicked that field goal, and the Bengals were out, you think the Chiefs would have done something differently in the Broncos game? Like, no, they wouldn't have. Like this, they
Yeah.
had come here like, and the other side of which has been brought up by many different people, I don't know who to give original credit for, is that if the Bengals made the playoffs, the only way that the Chiefs would play them would be if the Bengals knocked off the Bills, who the Chiefs are clearly should be way more concerned about than the Bengals. So, like, if you end up playing the Bengals, that's good. That means that the Bills are out of the playoffs. So,
Yeah.
there's no way that that makes any sense. I think that the Chiefs are really like this was just about them trying to get as much rest and trying to get everything together. This has been a terrible year injury wise for the Chiefs, and so they're just trying to make sure everybody's healthy and set and get everybody right because they've had a lot of long seasons, and they need to get everybody focused now for a 3 game stretch to try to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, I'll just like put in a extra thought here. If the Bengals could only beat the Steelers by two when they were playing that badly, when the Steelers were playing that badly, they're not one to be super afraid of anyway, right? So, I think, yeah. I mean, they're a good team. They were hot, but they had their flaws, right? There's a reason they were 9-8.
Yeah.
The defense in particular. So, yeah, I think there can't be much to that. Even, I mean, and if there were, like, would that be like okay, right? Like, you want to win the Super Bowl. That's the goal, right? So,
Yeah, I don't know why
would
people
you
are
have
up
to?
in arms. And like even like Don Van Natta, who's like an investigative journalist for ESPN, was like, "Oh, it's a travesty that the Chiefs set their starter." It's like people sit their starters and do this all the time. And he and Scott Casimir both made the point where they were like, 24 days off is too much. Like that, and that's going to be a problem. And I wanted to be like, listen, we've all accepted that 2 weeks is fine. So like, what's the cutoff? Like, what's too much? Like, it's like, why are we so confident that like 2 weeks, 14 days off, great. 24, too much. Like, isn't it possible that maybe teams that are well coached and that have been to deep in the playoffs many times, maybe for them the risk benefit actually makes sense? Like what, why are we so confident that that's a bad thing? I don't know that we don't have evidence of a team taking this much time off, at least not recently. So
Mhm.
who knows? Maybe it's great.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all for it. I thought we should have rested our starters after losing to the Eagles. Right? So that would have been a probably 20 some day rest, and I would endorse that. So I wish we had done that at this point.
And how many
um,
times have we seen, like, remember when Wes Welker tore his ACL in week 17 when the Patriots were playing Christian Watson tore his ACL last week? Like, that would be the worst case scenario. Like, I'd rather the team be a little rusty to start a divisional round playoff game than have lose a major cog due to injury.
yeah. Yep. I don't see the worry here. Um, I don't even see the worry if they had intentionally tried to keep the Bengals. Like, I just don't see it.
Yeah,
Um,
win more games if you want to be in the playoffs.
yeah, right.
Like,
Yeah. Uh, so we have some playoff football coming this week. Um, uh, the you don't, I guess, at least not as
no.
a Chiefs fan. Um, but yeah, so the Steelers play at the Ravens on Saturday. Going to
First
be a
Amazon Prime
fun
playoff
one.
game.
Yeah. Um, I don't. So I think I was trying to think like, what is it like? How do I convey the feeling of going into the playoffs after losing 4 games this badly and looking this bad while doing so? It feels like going to a dinner party with the flu. Like you're not in it. You don't feel good. You shouldn't be there. You know it. Everyone else knows it. It's not going to go well. That's what this feels like. Like for Steelers fans right now, I think that's what this is like. Um, but it does not feel like there's much hope. It feels like basically. I mean, I guess if I had to pick a team, it would either be the Texans or the Ravens that we were playing, because somehow we just always play the Ravens tight. I kind of don't feel like this one is going to be like that, given the last 4 weeks. But maybe that's just my pessimism coloring my interpretation of the facts here. But yeah, I don't think this is going well. I guess we'll get to the predictions in a minute, but uh, this is going to be bad.
I I I'll tell you this. The line on this game, according to ESPN right now, is the Ravens -10.
Yeah.
I would 100% bet the Steelers with that line. I would be shocked if the Ravens won by 10 points.
Well, that's a, that's a different take. I guess that maybe you can talk me into this, but uh,
The one thing I will say is that the Ravens are like a front running team. So like if they
Yeah,
win, they will like bust off like a 40-yard Derrick Henry run for a touchdown at the end of the game. So
yeah.
it could make a close game look not as close. So I guess there's that you have to factor in if you're betting the spread. But yeah, I don't know, man. I
I don't
always
feel like there are many games where they win this by like a touchdown, right? If they're up by around a touchdown near the end, then they get another long one or something like that, right? So
That's fair.
so
Yeah.
it would have to be like it's either like a very close game or it's a 14 plus point game.
I think that's fair. I think that's just kind of the nature. That's how the Bills play too. I feel like, which is why I'm always like, let's be a little cautious with point differential stuff when judging how good teams are. Like, there's certain teams that just pour it on when they're up.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't think the Ravens actually looked like as good as the scoreline looked against the Browns. They kind of did pour it on at the end. I mean, they were never in any danger of losing, but they were also pretty sloppy. And
Mhm.
one read of that is they were like, working out some kinks, and the other read is that I mean, we haven't seen the Ravens look awesome in January in a long time. They've
That's
been a
true.
very good team, but it's been a while since we've seen like a dominant playoff performance. I mean, do we have to go back to Flacco? I don't know that we've seen like a great playoff run from Lamar, right? He's won
No, we
two
haven't.
playoff
Yeah,
games, I think.
yeah, that's true. Um, that's true. I guess right. So there is some like long-term data here that the Ravens might come. I don't even know if they're not on Earth right now, but they might come back down to Earth a bit in this game. And we do always usually play them close, so you can maybe expect some tenseness, intensity in this game. But I don't know. I can't get over how bad we've looked in different ways for for 4 games now. It just feels like there's too much working against us for us to put something together here that's going to be unless it's just like a really really ugly like 10-9 game or something like that. I could
Which is
maybe see
not
something like that
inconceivable.
happening. Yeah, yeah. I
I,
don't know.
you know, this reminds me, I mean, this probably won't be good to hear, but this reminds me most closely of when the Chiefs started out 9-0 in 2013 and we ended the year 11-5
Yeah,
with a 2-5 stretch to end it. And then that was we went to Indianapolis, and that was the famous Andrew Luck game. So we came out looking great initially in the
yeah.
playoffs. After
Same.
that, we were like, "Oh man, we're gonna win a playoff game," and then we didn't.
Yeah. Uh, this, I guess the season does resemble that a bit. I mean, I don't remember how much your 9-0 record was like. Was it obviously inflated at the time, or was it only
We played a lot of
in
backup
hindsight?
quarterbacks. Oh yeah,
Okay.
I
Yeah.
like, and we like barely beat Jason Campbell and the Browns, and then we barely
Mm.
beat Case Keenum and the Texans at home. Like we did have some decent wins. Like we beat the Cowboys at home in week 2, but I think it was like we our good wins were like very front loaded that year. And then like when teams weren't as surprised by us, it was like all backup quarterbacks and crap. And then we played Peyton Manning for the first time after 9-0, and the Broncos like slaughtered us twice. Philip Rivers like carved us up. Like once we actually started playing the good teams is when we started losing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can say the same thing for our schedule this year, right? Like, I mean, we beat some good teams, but not any great teams. Uh, and and then we played some very good teams near the end of the year and really got it handed to us. So yeah, I think. I mean, I'm like almost tempted to go into a retrospective on the season already, but maybe I should not. Right? We do like there is like we win this game and things look very different. I think that's true.
Yeah.
It looks very negative right now, and if we lose it, it looks very bad considering how last year went. Very similar. Well, the like, sort of end result would be very similar to last year. Um, but if somehow we do win this game, winning a playoff game in Baltimore against the Ravens you know, would be really nice, right? And it could help to change the narrative on the season. I guess it would probably depend a bit on how that how it actually goes. If it's like a 10-9 or 13-9 game where the offense still looks like crap and we somehow do win it, then I don't know. I think and then we go out and lose badly in the next one because the offense is still terrible. Then yeah, I don't know.
You'd probably come to Kansas City if you beat the Ravens.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, I don't really want to do that. um, but well, it would be. Part of me doesn't. Part of me does. Um, yeah, I saw some Steelers fans saying, just they hope the Ravens just like blow us out 45-10 or something, just so that like we can end this era of mediocre football. I don't know if it would end anything. I think we're
I
not
don't
gonna.
think it would.
Mike Tomlin's not leaving. I hope not. I still get like almost as much enjoyment out of him as a person as I do out of the Steelers. So um, uh, maybe that's just because I'm not getting as much out of the Steelers as I used to. um, uh, yeah. So if we're gonna predict this game, I would say it's gonna be. I would bet. I would. I mean, I don't bet on sports, but if I were gonna bet, I would bet on the Ravens in this. I would say maybe like 24, 24-10. I think that's fair.
See, I am just as conflicted as I was last time you all went to Baltimore. Like I really want to pick the Steelers to win, but I don't. I think what's going to happen. What's going to happen is the Steelers are going to win this game, and I'm going to be mad that I didn't pick them to win. But I just can't get myself there because I don't trust Russell Wilson. Like I'm back in the place where I just don't trust him. I think you're going to be right in it. I think there's going to be a chance to win it. I think stupid Russell Wilson's going to screw this up. I think it's going to be
I
like,
could see it.
yeah, like
Yeah.
21-20 Ravens, and it's going to be.
Oh, no.
I'm going to be so mad because this should have been a Steelers win. I feel
Do you
like
think
that's what I see happening. Or the Steelers are going to win this, and I'm going to be so mad that I wasn't brave enough to pick them. But
it's it is hard to see us winning this and Russell Wilson like not making some error that makes it very tense, right? Like
he's
given
going
the
to
way he's
turn it
played
over. He's
recently, yeah, something,
100% going to turn the ball over.
or he's gonna like run it when there's no reason to, or, something like that. Not go down when
Like
he should go down.
it's going to be like you're going to be up 20-14, driving with the ball, and Wilson's going to turn it over, and then the Ravens are going to score the touchdown, and wins the game. It's going to be something
I
like
can
that,
see it.
and I'm going
Yeah.
to be. And then it's going to be 11 o'clock New York time, and I'm going to have to find a way to go to sleep being mad at stupid Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
This should have been a win.
I think it's good to know that's what's going to happen, or at least think that's what's going to happen ahead of time, so you can sort of get over some of the frustration, right? Thank you for walking me through this mentally before it happens. Um, yeah, I can see that being what happens. It's hard for me to see it being like it's not going to be a clean win, right? It's just not. You're not going to
I
come out of
mean,
this
I
thinking,
hope
man,
so,
we have
but
a
I
chance next
cannot
week.
see that.
Yeah, yeah, no, I don't think so. But we'll see. We'll see. Um, But here, would you think about starting Fields in this if you were Mike Tomlin? Like,
I
I
don't think I'd
I
start
would,
him.
but I want to
Oh,
hear what you
really?
think.
I don't think I'd start him, but I would think about heavily featuring him. Like if you
Hmm.
have like a couple packages, I still don't know why he didn't come in at some point during the Bengals game. Like, I mean, and one could argue like, well, they had a 2 minute drill to try to win the game. Like, but man, there's some point in the middle there. It's just like, well, couldn't there have been that jump started the offense against the Browns in that game that you
Yeah,
lost in Cleveland? So
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. I think you have to do something different, right? Like with the players you're playing right now, you've tried a couple different things the last few weeks and nothing has worked. I think you have to give them some reason to hope that they can win this. And I don't know if I like starting Field instead of Wilson is one of those. I don't know what else you can do at this point. Like, what else? What other reason is there for the players to hope that they can win it? I know that like they're professionals and they should hope that they can win it no matter what. Think that they can win it no matter what. But they're also humans, and having just had this stretch that they've had, I think you need to give them something.
The only thing I'll say is that I know that Russell Wilson thinks he can win this game. I'm not 100% sure if Justin Fields
That's
thinks he can
true.
win this game.
That's true.
Maybe he
Does the rest
does.
of the team think Russell Wilson can win this game? I
Well,
don't know.
that's a different question. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. If I were on
Yeah.
that team, I don't know what I would think.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's hard to see the offense having much confidence at this point. They don't look like they do, but I don't know. Okay, so there's our predictions. I said 24-10 Ravens. The more I think about it, the more I think it's going to be more than 24, but also, I guess that's what I said. And you said 21-20 Ravens. Okay. Do you want to look at other games around the league?
Yeah, let's start with what do you think about the fact that the first three games are all AFC games? But we go Texans, Chargers, then
Oh,
Ravens,
yeah.
Steelers, then Bills, Broncos.
Yeah, what's the point of that? I don't know. I feel like the
I was
NFC has been
surprised.
like the slightly better conference this year, but I don't know why they would influence their scheduling actually. Do you want to just go in order then? So Chargers, Texans first.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think about the like? I feel like I don't know how much you pay attention to like Bill Simmons' different narratives, but one of the things he talks about all the time is the nobody believes in us team.
Mm,
I feel like this year the nobody believes in us team is the Houston Texans. Like everyone's just kind of like, they won a terrible division. The Chargers are going to, the Chargers are favored going in there. Like everyone's on Harbaugh. I don't know. Like I'm a little biased because like I've said, I don't want to play the Chargers three times. It's just like this is more just speaking out of fear. Like if we play them, like I expect us to win, but I know it's not going to be fun. Like I'm not going to enjoy it. Like there's a chance that we could handle the Texans. I don't think there's a chance we could handle the Chargers. It would be awesome. Oh my God, that would be amazing. But I
yeah,
feel like it would
yeah,
be a stupid one possession game that I'd be sweating through the whole time. So, but I don't know. I'm just not convinced that the Chargers are just gonna like waltz in there and beat them. I think it's gonna be closer, and I think there's a chance that the Texans win this game.
yeah. I could see it like being motivated to have this home game in front of their fans and being that nobody believes in this team. I kind of yeah. How do I imagine it going? I
And
guess
they've
I
gotten
could.
up for big team. Like they beat the Bills, and they picked off Jared Goff five times. They somehow managed to
Yeah,
lose that game, but
yeah,
like they've played good teams tight.
yeah. I can see it. You're making me want to pick them. Are we picking the scores of each of these, or are we just going to pick the winner? Because I don't know the
Oh,
score. That's going to be
yeah.
hard.
I feel like. I mean, it's up to you. I guess I could throw scores out. I don't mind.
Yeah, I'll do the score. So it's going to be Texans 24, Chargers 20. Mm, I don't know. What is the Chargers score going to be? 21. I think the Texans do it.
I think I'm gonna pick them too, and I feel like it'll probably come across as me being just like a anti Jim Harbaugh guy, which I admit I am. But uh, yeah, I feel like the Texans are gonna actually like. Yeah, I like it. I like that score range. You said 24-21. I like something in that range. Maybe I'll say 20 to 17. 20 to 17 Texans.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
people are a
21
little
actually might be too many touchdowns, but whatever.
because
For
The
the,
Chargers haven't. What is their quality win? I'll go to the Chargers schedule real quick.
they've got 11. Do they have any good ones?
Like I mean, they gave us a run for our money in Kansas City. Let's see, they beat the Raiders, the Panthers, the Broncos, the Saints, the Browns, the Titans, the Bengals, I guess,
Yeah,
Falcons. That's it.
yeah. There's just
And then the
at
Broncos again,
best
of course.
some like solid teams in there, but no one really good. Yeah,
Broncos, Patriots. It's not like they've beaten it. Have they beaten a 10-win team? The Broncos are a 10-win team, I guess.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the Texans would be their best win. Depending on how you think the relative performances of the Texans versus the Broncos. I don't know.
Mm.
I personally think the Texans are a better team.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair. So I think yeah, Texans. Well, let's see. I said 24-21. So I'll stick with it. Um,
And you want to do Bills Broncos?
Bills Broncos. Yeah. What do you think?
I think this is I think we all know what this game looks like. This is what the Bills do in the first round of the playoffs. Like it's going to be like 10-7 at the end of the third quarter or like midway through the second quarter, and then the Bills are going to win like 34 to 10. like,
Yeah, I was,
like
I
I
was
feel like it's going to be like that kind
say a
of
similar
game.
score. Maybe like I was thinking 27-7. Maybe a little bit. Maybe the Broncos get to 10 or something. But it does also feel like a week after having this like fun game where they were the only ones taking it seriously. Like now they have another team taking this game seriously, and it's a team that's very good. So I think they come crashing down to earth. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Bills just kind of shellac them in this one. But I do feel like it'll be one of those, like, was it Bill Steelers last year where it was like kind of close early on?
Yeah.
It was like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, is there a chance? I feel like it'll follow a very similar script. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. We had a chance, and then I had to. We watched part of that. We watched the part where we had a chance to get together, and then I had to go give a talk during the rest of the loss. That was I've never had to do that before. That was a fun one. um, but yeah, I could see it. Um, Next one will be Eagles Packers. Um, that's a that's a that's a fun matchup.
it is a
Uh,
fun matchup. It's one of those where I feel like I've finally given up on the Packers. Like I was always like
mm,
kind of like they're gonna turn it on, like here it comes. But it just seems like they've lost to every good team. They lost the Vikings twice. They lost the Lions twice. I feel like
yeah.
they're just the Eagles are too good. I think
Their second game against the Lions was close though, right? Like the first game
it
was not.
was, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I
And the
mean, like,
first game against the Vikings was kind of close. It was like, but it was like the Vikings were blowing them out, and then they came back at the end and made it a game and
mm.
almost made it interesting. So yeah,
I
I
think
just
that's how. Like, if the Packers do win this, it'll be something like that. It'll be a big comeback. It's not like they're gonna just handle them the whole way through, right?
yeah.
That's how this Packers team strikes me. They would win on a big comeback or something. But uh, yeah, I
And
think.
they might be like game, like, when they lost the 49ers last year in the divisional round, like that was a good game. They actually
Mhm.
had a chance. Jordan Love threw a nice Brett Favre interception, but I just don't see it. I feel like this feels to me like it's going to be like 34-20 Eagles. Like
Mhm.
I think the Eagles, it's not going to be that like we're going to be really excited and hope for a great game, and I don't feel like it'll be that interesting, unfortunately.
I could say something pretty similar. I think 31-23 Eagles. Um, that sounds kind of close. Um, that's a one score game, I guess. Um,
Yeah, maybe they
sounds
like
close.
get to 23 at the very end or something.
Yeah,
Like they're down 11 and they kick a field goal, try an onside kick to see if they can get a touchdown or something. Yeah, I could
yeah.
see that.
Yeah.
Now,
Um,
the next one to me is I think going to be the game of the wild card weekend. Like as far as just pure excitement, I think Ravens Steelers will be like intense, but Buccaneers Commanders, I think they're just gonna like move the ball up and down the field and score tons of points. I feel like this will
like
be the fun game.
40-30 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I don't know enough about the Bucks this year. I feel like to make a great guess about this. Um, but I think I would. Well, I don't actually know. I mean, I think of the Commanders as a better team, but it is in Tampa Bay, and I feel like that might be big for them. So I don't know. Uh, like you could see Baker Mayfield just like having a party here or something and going crazy. I mean, he just does that
That's
sometimes. So.
that's kind of what I think's gonna happen. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a Baker Mayfield party.
Yeah.
Like
Um,
I'm thinking like 41-30.
yeah. 41-30. Yeah. Okay. And he throws like 4 or 5 touchdowns or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like he throws four touchdowns and Mike Evans has a big day and what's his name? Bucky Irving, the rookie running back, has a great day. Like I just feel like, and I think like the Commanders will be game. They just are gonna run out of steam. Like it might be like 34-30 in the fourth quarter, and then the Bucks kind of tack it on, get a touchdown at the end, and then the Commanders are trying to come down, and Daniels throws a pick or something. Like I feel like it'll be that kind of game. I'm very much
Oh,
looking forward to it.
yeah, that should be fun. I'm gonna say something similar, I think. Maybe 38, 34. So a little closer, but yeah, it should be. Yeah, it does seem like it'll be a high scoring one. It should be fun.
And then, what do you think about the Monday nighter Rams Vikings?
Yeah. Uh, it would be cool if this were close. If the Rams somehow like made this a game. It doesn't seem like it will be. To me, it seems like the Vikings should handle business fairly routinely here. Maybe something like 24-17 ish. I don't
Oh,
know.
that's very close to kind of thing I was thinking. Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be like that. It's like lower scoring than we would think. Like it's not gonna be like a huge high flying game. And I think so. I like it reminds me a lot of the Rams Lions game last year. Like a lot of people were like, "Oh, the Rams can go in there and beat the Lions," and it was kind of tight. And but like the Lions were just a little bit better, and I feel like it'll be that way. Yeah, 24-17. I like that score.
You can't
Maybe
have
I'll
it.
say, maybe I'll say
Well, you
like
can have it.
26-20,
Okay.
something like that. Um, oh, I guess this game's in LA.
Yeah, it does. Like
Maybe
you
I
could
should.
see it.
Yeah.
That would be
Oh,
so interesting, right? That would be a if the Rams won this, that would be one of the more interesting results, definitely.
man, maybe I will. For some reason, I was thinking Minnesota. This is in LA. Yeah, you know what? I feel like I'm gonna give it to Stafford. I'm gonna do another 21-20 game.
Oh wow,
I'm
nice.
gonna say 21-20. The Rams beat the Vikings. Oh, that'll be
Yeah,
a, I
that would
was
be cool.
really hoping that the Chargers Texans would be the Monday night game so that they would have short rest
Like
because
no,
they're
yeah,
probably coming to play us, one of them,
yeah,
if the seeds hold. But unfortunately, they get the most rest. They're going to be Saturday early game.
yeah, yeah. Well, um, you got more, so you'll be fine. Or
Yeah.
maybe you were past the tipping point, like we were talking about.
So that means then you would imagine the Chiefs are going to play on Saturday in the divisional round, and the Lions are going to play on Sunday, because the Lions are playing against probably the team that played Monday night, so they will have to
Hmm.
give them as much rest as possible. And since
Yeah,
the Texans Chargers play Saturday, I bet they'll have the Chiefs play Saturday.
yeah. Or it could be the Steelers, but they also
That's
play
true.
Saturday, so
Yeah.
yeah. Or the Broncos, I guess.
Wouldn't that be crazy if it's like the Steelers and Broncos win and
Yeah.
like the Broncos come to Kansas City and the Steelers go to like Houston?
That's like the least probable outcome, I think, for the AFC this weekend. But yeah, it could happen, I
I mean, if that happened, then I could see maybe the Steelers going to the AFC title game. Like, wouldn't that be a turnaround?
guess. Yeah, there's still a little bit of hope. You can still imagine us doing something fun here. It's very hard at this point. I think it's harder to imagine us doing something fun than basically every other team in the playoffs. Like, is there another team that is? No, we're the only person with a flu at this party, right? Like the Texans are recovering from a flu, maybe, but
Yeah.
like we are in the midst of it.
I I feel like content wise for our podcast, the craziest thing would be if the Steelers beat the Ravens and then they went to Kansas City and beat the Chiefs.
It
that
would,
would
yeah.
that
We
would
would
be
get some
nuts.
views, I think. Yeah, yeah.
Or I would like be having a breakdown on our podcast. So, like that would and it's not inconceivable, you know. I
I mean, it's close to
the
it, but yeah.
and then the thing about the playoffs is that it just shakes out such that like it's not like there's a team in the field that I'm just like, yeah, I'm looking forward to playing them. It's like that
Yeah,
time
that's
of year
true.
where it's
Like you're
just like,
never like this will be good,
yeah,
right? Yeah,
I know. I look at all of them, even like if the Broncos come, like I don't want to see the Broncos. Like
yeah,
they're a well coached team. Like I don't think they're better than us. I don't think any of these teams are better than us, but they're well coached. They're tough. Like, and could we blow the Broncos out? Yeah, but we haven't been doing a lot of that this year, so I'm not expecting it in the playoffs either.
yeah, yeah. That's like you look forward to the playoffs, and then you get there, and you're like, well, crap. Every game is going to be like a dogfight at best, right? Like, it's not enjoyable until it's like almost over, typically,
Yeah.
or over. Um,
And it
which
was
is,
it was a little better, like I would say pre like 2021 for me because there was just this supreme belief that Mahomes was just gonna catch fire and like score like any quarter he could score 20. Like you never know.
yeah, yeah.
Like uh that
And
Texans
then like,
comeback like when we were
but you're
down
thinking like,
24 nothing and then we just like
oh yeah,
were up like 31-24 or something at halftime or something insane like that. Maybe 28-24 at halftime. It was crazy.
yeah. Was it the Buck Super Bowl that sort of destroyed that illusion for you, or what?
That was a little bit, but I think like that was the start of it. And then it was that next like 2021 season where like teams started emulating what the Bucks were doing and Mahomes like really slumped in the middle of the year. And then he kind of picked it up. And so I was like, oh, is he over it? And then we lost to the Bengals in the AFC title game. And that will go down. Like that to me was a harder loss than the Bucks Super Bowl. Like that was a real rough loss.
Yeah,
Um, so I think after that whole season, basically starting with that Super Bowl, culminating at the AFC Championship game the next year, that whole run was what made it like, okay, well, he's not like invulnerable. And then the funny thing is that since then we've only won the Super Bowl, and here
yeah,
I
that's
am
right.
being like,
Yeah,
oh man, that like ruined
the
the
illusion was
feeling.
destroyed. Except now you just win the Super Bowl every year, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's
If
a
if you, I like part of me wants to ask like, what if they win it again this year, right? Like, what does that do for their legacy and the history of the sport? But maybe we should hold off on that because I think we probably will have reason to have that discussion at
oh
least
man, I hope
in the
we have
coming
some good
weeks.
reason to have that discussion. That would be great. I will say like if they I mean, I shouldn't like get ahead of myself in like proclaiming things, but like I do feel like if that happens, like maybe Chiefs fans shouldn't complain for a little while. Just a little.
Maybe,
Like I
yeah,
don't want to, because I feel like I'm going to be the first person to start complaining about stuff at some point in the future. But like maybe just enjoy. Like we're living through something that nobody else got to live through. Maybe like maybe
yeah,
just enjoy it.
yeah, yeah. That's right. Which reminds me of what you were saying about Patriots fans last week about. I don't know quite how the connection is here, but like of all people, they should not be complaining about the Chiefs getting calls. I mean, the why is this reminding me of that comment? I don't know, but there's a vague connection here. I was thinking about that actually, and I think we could all like draw a lesson from this, right? It's nice to have two sort of like dynastic teams. Is that the right term? Dynasty like teams back to back here because you can see how the same narrative gets repeated for both of them. And
Yeah.
so I think everyone should learn at this point that like the complaints about the refs are just like, not really it, they're not they're not genuine, right? They should not be taken seriously, right? Uh, and it helps to have those dynasties back to back like that. You definitely count as a dynasty right now. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think only the kind of people that are the most stingy with that term wouldn't call us a dynasty at this point.
Yeah, we have a dynasty of mediocrity here, which is
Ruling the middle. Huh?
yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I have thoughts about like how to interpret this season if we lose this week, but I'll hold off on them because there'll be time for that later.
Yeah, we'll see.
Anything else?
I feel like it's gonna be real tight. I like feel free if the Ravens beat the Steelers. I will take people tweeting at me and Like if the Ravens blow out the Steelers, I just don't see it happening. And then I'm gonna be man. When the Steelers win this game, I'm gonna be so mad I didn't predict it. I feel like I just did it the wrong time. I know it, but I can't trust Russell Wilson. I just can't do it.
I'll be honest. Like I think like it it's hard not to want it for Lamar Jackson. Like he's been so good and he's always so fun to watch. I mean, he's not actually always so fun to watch, but frequently very fun to watch. Like he is one of the best players in the league. He deserves a good playoff run. I don't really want it to come at our expense, but it probably will, and I can like talk myself into being okay with that. um, we'll see.
This is one of the problems that I didn't anticipate about having one of the best players is that you get really competitive with the other best players because like
Yeah,
their fans talk shit about your
yeah,
player. And so like it's hard for me. Like, yes, in a vacuum, abstractly, I wish well for Lamar Jackson and
yeah.
Josh Allen, but I know if they win a Super Bowl, then everyone's going to be like, oh, Mahomes who? And I'm going to be like, no. So it's very hard to wish well for them.
I remember this feeling with Ben Roethlisberger, and I was like, but like he's actually better than whoever Breeze or Manning or something. No, he wasn't, but whatever. It was fun to have that thought.
All right, so I guess we can end there. Looking forward to Wild Card Weekend, and I'll have some film reviews out this week at a little more of a leisurely pace. I'll try to get the Steelers one up by tomorrow. Um, Otherwise, keep following us where you follow us, wherever you can download podcasts, or at STCF715 on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Until next time.